Okay, good evening. It is Monday, June 24th. We will be online today with our third class with a lecture video. We're going to be doing lesson 6, which is chapter 12 tonight. I just want to do a couple housekeeping items. First thing I want to look at, and you can see on the screen on the right-hand side, I have Moodle, and on the left-hand side, I have the schedule, which I'll enlarge a little bit, just to say, so we can recap and see where we're at. Make sure you guys are good to go. I just want to mention, so here we have Moodle, okay, and I'm just going to put my pen on so we can look at the same thing. So here I have Moodle, right, and I'm just going to scroll up to course announcements. Just a reminder that each week I'm going to be posting information, and by the time you're watching this video, all the June 24th stuff will be here. Okay, it's hidden from you guys right now, but I'm going to open it up tomorrow at some point prior to the class. I'll upload the video tonight because I'm actually recording this on the 23rd, so you guys can watch on the 24th, and I don't have to worry about uploading problems and leaving you guys hanging. So that's going to be there for you tomorrow night. Each time you see the date and the class and the time, there's a link for the video, okay? That's messy. The link for the video. I want you to click on this item, okay? And within it, you're going to see the video. That's where you can watch it ahead of time. I'll upload it every time a few hours early. That's my plan now, so that you guys can, if you wanted to, review it prior to class. But certainly you're welcome to just review it when you get here at 7 o'clock, or if you can't make class, you can always review it later, okay? So again, that's just in Moodle, in the class, scroll down, and that's just going to keep building until we are done our online classes, and then we move into the classroom on July 15th. There, I'll just present everything in person, which would be nice. Okay, and then we're going down to topic 1. I want to look at the schedule and evaluation. So, and that's what's on the left-hand side of my screen. So here's where we are tonight. We're in week 3 of the class. And I can't get my pen up. Anyway, you'll scroll down, you see week number 3, June 24th. We're doing lessons 6 and 12. Today we're going to review assignment 2. Not everybody has submitted it yet. Some of you have. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask. When I'm online tonight, happy to go through anything. I'm going to do a little recap of it in a minute in this lesson. Just so that if anyone is stuck on anything, you have an opportunity to get that. It's also June 24th, so today's my last day before I go away for about 10 days, and I'm going to leave you working on assignment number 3. So you're going to get about 10 days where you've got the ability to catch up if you're a bit behind. I know some people were missing textbooks. Some people are just, struggling a little bit more than others, and to find the time and to learn the concepts. So this is catch-up time. Unfortunately, I am not really working. I'm overseas, and it's going to be a little difficult for me to give detailed responses, but I will do my best. I'll be able to check my email periodically. You may not hear from me immediately, but I'll definitely do my best to reply to my emails daily or every few days. So I do apologize for that, but it was a trip that was arranged before I took on this class, and so we just ACC and UCN decided to work around that schedule. So that leaves you guys, if you are able to get the assignment into me tonight, June 24th, I will give you feedback. Even if you're just emailing me something and saying, hey, can you check this? At least then I can get you feedback before I go. I'd love to see that before 10 p.m. tonight, to give me an opportunity to make sure I can respond before I go. After that, like I said, detailed responses are going to be tricky because I won't have my computer, but I'll do my best on my iPad, okay? And then, so tonight we'll go over assignment 2, recap. We're going to go over lesson 6, which is chapter 12, and we're going to talk about the new assignment that's due when I get back on Monday, July the 8th. Okay, sound good? That's the schedule, so I'll get rid of that for a second. Now we'll go straight into talking about assignment 2. Give me a second to sort my sheets. Okay. All right. So Does anyone have any questions about it? The deadline is today, like I said. The first couple of, and sorry, on the left-hand side, you'll see again, I've got the actual assignment up in front of me. I'm just going to do a quick little discussion about it. Just comments I've seen and things I maybe can add that'll help you. Okay, so here we've got assignment 2, chapter 10. The new concept here is actually processing a payroll. Okay, so as you can see, two new concepts. The first one being that we are billing the parents for fees, right? So we're now operational. We have our staff in place. We have our kids in the center. We've actually very nicely been able to fill the center from day one. So on January 3rd, we're going to bill the parents, the guardians, for that. The 4-week cycle that I mentioned previously that we're going to do our billings on, that also jives with the subsidy schedule, is a little bit out of sync here on the first payroll because we're opening on January 3rd and we're actually into the second week of the billing cycle. So in order to keep everything in line and not be out of sync a week, we're going to actually just bill for 3 weeks. And then our schedule will jive with the 4-week billing cycle that subsidy uses and that we're going to use for the center as a whole, even for the people who aren't subsidized, just to keep everything straight. And so our billing can be done the same for all of the kids in the center, not different for subsidy and different and something else for the rest, right? Okay, so it's telling us that we're licensed for 32 spaces. Okay, we're charging $20.80 a day. And in this case, it's 3 weeks, so it's 15 working days. Okay, so we're billing, right? We're earning the revenue. So we want to record that revenue, and that's a credit, right, to account 401. If we do the math, I think it's $9,984. And then we're not actually collecting the money yet, so our debit is to accounts receivable. It could also be to parent fees receivable, but because this is the only type of receivable the center has, I just use accounts receivable, and the working papers just use accounts receivable. Both would be correct. If you, in your actual daycare, choose to use a different accounts receivable title, perfectly fine. Okay, no two centers will do things identical. Okay, and then January 5th is straightforward because you've done that before in assignment 1. And then on the 14th, you can see that we're actually getting money from the parents. So we build on the 3rd, and then usually I think what happens in centers is people pay on their payday, right? So every 2 weeks, the majority of people are getting paid. So you see on January 14th, let's say that's a Friday, people are coming in, they've been paid, and now they're going to make payment on their account. The total payments from all of the parents and guardians amounts to $3,328. Okay, so what happens there is we've already recorded the revenue. We don't have to touch the fees account 401, but what we're going to do is we are going to reduce that accounts receivable because nobody owes us that $3,328 anymore because they paid it. So the debit to the bank account 101 to increase the bank account for the deposit, and it's a decrease to accounts receivable account 106 because we've received the money. That portion of the billing is no longer receivable. We're going to repeat that entry on the 21st for $6,656, and when we add those two numbers together from the 14th and the 21st, it adds to the $9,984 that was billed on January 3rd. So our accounts receivable account will actually be a zero balance right now because everything we billed, we have received. So there is $0 in accounts receivable at that point, right after the 21st. Okay, makes sense? So now the end result of the January 3rd, 14th, and 21st is that we have $9,984 in our bank account from those two collections, and we have $9,984 in our revenue account. Okay, and accounts receivable has zeroed out. So everything is balanced out from those entries. Okay, now the tricky part, the next concept that's new is payroll. Okay, in the video from last week, I went through showing you how to do Sally Ashton, the first employee, and how to now take the information from the 21st. Okay, I'm going to scroll on the left, so watch what I'm doing there. So everything is kind of highlighted there to represent that we are doing a pay period. The staff have now worked for 2 weeks. they've worked 80 hours. It tells us what the rate is, and I've multiplied it just to tell you the gross pay is $2,400 for Sally Ashton, $1,600 for Kelsey, Stephanie, and Paige, and $1,280 for Nicole. And now we need to take and process their payroll to say how much deductions are taken off and what do the employees actually get, and then also the employer portion of CPP and EI, and then making sure that it goes out of the bank, that we've actually paid the employees. Okay, and so I'm scrolling down. We're going to create a journal entry here in the general journal for payroll. It is going to be the sum of the totals from over here. Okay, remember I said last week that we don't actually create a journal entry. Oops, don't have a pen. We don't create a journal entry for every employee, right? We're not going to have 5 journal entries for 5 employees. We're just going to have one journal entry that's going to be for the sum of the payroll. So all of these numbers here for the employee and, oh shoot, that's right, jumping around on me, employee and employer, okay? And that's times in CPP by 1 and EI by 1.4. So Revenue Canada says the employees have to pay their deductions for federal, provincial, CPP, and EI. Okay, 4 deductions are coming off. There can be other deductions like insurance and RSP contributions, other stuff. We're just doing the CRA or Canada Revenue Agency source deductions on this assignment and for this case. Okay, but for every dollar that you as an employee pay, your employer has to match it. So if you pay $10 in CPP, they're paying $10, and the daycare now owes CRA $20. Okay, and for EI, for every dollar the employee pays, the employer has to pay $1.40. Okay, so that's just the way it is. So the sum of these, and these will, so the sum of the federal, provincial, CPP, and EI, sorry for my messy circles, is owing, plus the employer's portion of CPP and EI. And that's going to collect in the accounts 212, 213, 214, and 215. And every month we process payroll and it accumulates in those accounts. We pay employees every 2 weeks, but we don't actually remit it to the Revenue Canada agency until the next month. We can do, so the whole month of January will be totaled up. It'll be sitting in those payable balances as a credit. And then you'll see in assignment 3, February 14th, because every time you collect money, it has to be paid to CRA by the 15th of the following month. One payment for the whole month's deductions. And so that'll get paid out to them in assignment 3. So you don't have to worry about that for now. We're just processing a payroll. Okay, so if you're not sure about how to do the payroll and you want to see how I did it, go back to last week's videos and look at how I did it for Sally, then repeat it for Kelsey, Stephanie, Paige, and Nicole. Okay, and then you'll list them. So employee 1, 2, 3, 4, then total up all the columns. And again, in that video, it says exactly which accounts that each of these columns gets posted to, okay, or the journal entry gets created. And that's basically my recap of assignment 2. And then go to the trial balance, so what you have here is each account is going to have a balance for it. If there was a balance at the end of assignment 1, this case study is cumulative. So all of the money that was in the bank at the end of assignment 1, which is 40, dang it, sorry, my touch screen jumps around a little bit, 47,070, okay, was in the bank at the end of assignment 1. Well, that's still there. And so now we're just going to post the new entries and get a new balance. Okay, that new balance is 47,070 plus anything we put in the bank minus everything we took out equals. And that's our new ending balance. Okay, and then we take it and we go to we do that for every single account. And then you come here and you list it, right? Every account that has a balance in it is listed here just one time, and the end total is listed in the debit or credit column, whichever balance is appropriate. Okay, and then we want to total this up. And I'm going to give you a check figure in a second when I have it. So when you add that up, if you're still working on it tonight, the total debits and the total credits should be equal, and it should be $62,450. $556.92. If you don't get that balance, you've made an error somewhere. Now, I would tell you, if you are late to submitting it and you can balance your debits and credits, but that number isn't quite right, just submit it anyways. I mean, your chances are you're going to only lose a mark or two. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it should balance. The whole point is it's called the child balance. And so debits and credits are equal. And when these two numbers are both 62,556.92, you're good. Okay, so that is my discussion on the assignment. Let me just close that. Okay, I won't save. Now I want to go on to the next topic of the night. I want to talk about lesson 6. So, and this is chapter 12, accounts receivable. Okay, so the new concepts in lesson 6, chapter 12 is receivables. So what happens if someone who owes you money hasn't paid and hasn't paid for quite a while? And I'll use an example. Like typically if you have a parent who's in the center who falls behind on payments, you can make payment arrangements. And so you can still feel pretty sure that that person's going to pay their bill. So you don't have to, write them off. You don't have to use bad debts or think that they're a doubtful account or anything like that. You just make arrangements so that they can get caught up. Okay. The issue will be, I think, when you have someone who fell behind and then their kid no longer attends the center. And the motivation for them to pay, to get caught up so that they can hold their spot, is gone. So you could face a challenge where you have an accounts receivable sitting on the books and it says someone owes $500 and they haven't paid it in 6 months, and you've attempted. Lots of centers will have a policy where, there's certain stages of the receivable, right? If they're still in the center, they get a reminder, they set up payment arrangements. But when they're gone from the center and they still owe money, you'll send a letter reminding them that they owe money. Then sometimes you can threaten they're going to go to collections. Every center should have a different policy on that. The policy won't be identical. It'll be unique to the center. But now we've reached a point where we've exhausted all of our options, and that person still isn't paid. And if it's a small amount, you may not send them to collections, or you'll decide what to do with it. But at the end of the day, that $500 probably isn't going to get collected. So there's not a huge sense in leaving it on the books as an accounts receivable. So, and there's 2 stages there. The first will be to say, I think this account is doubtful. Okay. And this is in the chapter and it's in the lesson notes. Again, I'm scrolling down in Moodle. Make this go down to module 6, right? And tonight too, you're going to see this assignment 3 be visible too. I'm going to work on that prior to class so that the assignment I'm expecting you to do is there and ready. I'm just updating it tonight. So anyway, what we have here is module 6. And so the first step you'll see in assignment 3 talks about it, is to say, okay, this amount is no longer, we don't think it's collectible. Alrighty. And in the lesson, you're going to learn about a new account called allowance for doubtful accounts. It's an asset, but it's a contra asset. So it actually sits as a credit balance. And if we net out accounts receivable, account 106, minus allowance for doubtful accounts, account 107, we actually get a net receivable that no longer includes that amount, that amount that we don't think we can collect. And so what the journal entry would look like, and this will be relevant to you when you're doing assignment 3, so you can come back and rewatch this, is that we are going to debit bad debts expense, account 552. We're going to credit allowance for doubtful accounts, account 107. That's our March journal entry in assignment 3 that we learned in this module, okay? And really assignment 3 is very repetitive, right? We're buying supplies, we're paying for that kind of stuff. We are billing our parents, we are collecting fees, we are paying our employees. Repeat. Like every 2 weeks we're paying people, every 4 weeks we're billing, and within that billing period we're collecting money from people. But now we're doing a new type of journal entry to record an allowance for doubtful accounts. Okay, so that's March portion. Then later on in the assignment, at the end of April, it's reviewed again to say this person's not going to pay. Like, there's no sense keeping it in accounts receivable and allowance for doubtful accounts. It's no longer doubtful. We are sure we're not going to get that money. So what that second journal entry for this concept will look like is that we just want to get it right out of accounts receivable. We don't want it to be a contra deduction in account 107. So what we do is we just remove it from accounts receivable. We take that step to say, let's get it off the books. We recorded it as a doubtful, but now let's just get it off the books. We're not going to collect it. It's too much effort to collect a small amount. Maybe the people have moved and we can't even locate them anymore. So what that looks like is now, so accounts receivable, account 106 is a debit balance account, right? It's an asset. We want to reduce it. So we're going to credit account 106, accounts receivable, for the same amount. In the assignment, I think it's $416, but in my previous example, I was using $500 as the amount. So we're crediting accounts receivable. So now that amount owing is completely removed. And the offset is our allowance for doubtful accounts. There's no sense having it as doubtful. It's the only balance in account 107. So if we debit account 107, we're actually going to clear it out to zero, right? On March 28th, we credited allowance for doubtful accounts. And at the end of April, we're going to debit it. And so allowance for doubtful accounts will be $0. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions on that, let me know. If you've reviewed the chapter and the lesson notes and you've watched this and you're looking at the assignment and you're still having trouble, please reach out to me. Like I said, even though I'm away, I still will read emails. I'll still be able to respond and help as needed. Okay? And that's kind of my recap of the lesson, right? So this lesson, the new concepts were processing a payroll and the allowance for doubtful accounts for assignment 3, right? So looking at accounts that we don't think are going to get collected. So that's basically it for this one. Then I'll just go on to talk about assignment 3, which I think I did in detail, but I want to chat about a couple of items. So let me just bring up the assignment 3 document. Give me a second here. Actually, I'm just going to go into Word. I'll find it faster that way. Bear with me. Okay, so here's the beginning of assignment 3. You're going to go through it, and I'll just put my jaw on. So what I want to highlight here is a couple of items, because in this assignment, previously a few minutes ago I said processing payroll and doing the allowance for doubtful accounts are the new concepts. I apologize. The new concepts are doing a payroll deduction, remittance, and the allowance for doubtful accounts. So I need to elaborate on the remittance. Okay, so on the left-hand side, I have assignment 3 pulled up here. And so you'll see February 2nd, we are billing. We're billing for 4 weeks this time. Okay, so don't forget, it's not going to be $9,984. It's going to be, we have 32 spaces times 20.8 times 20 working days now. So it's actually going to be $13,312. So don't forget that. That's important. But the same accounts are used, right? We debit accounts receivable and we credit parent fees. Accounts receivable, account 106, parent fees, account 401. And the amount is $13,312. Okay, here we've bought supplies. Here we're doing a payroll. Now, the employees have worked 80 hours is exactly the same journal entry as we did in assignment 2. So the payroll register doesn't need to be changed because everything's the same amount of hours, same rate of pay, and same claim codes. So you can just create the exact same journal entry that you did in assignment 2. Okay, and you're going to do that every 2 weeks. Create the payroll for the employee, okay, where they're getting paid. Create the entry for the employer portion of CPP and EI, and repeat that every 2 weeks. So the February 6th, February 20th, March 6th, etc. Okay, and here it's a repeat too, right? We did billing on February 2nd, we received money on the 13th and the 6th and the 13th. And so the thing I want to talk about right now is payroll remittance. Okay. So in January, we collected money from the parent, or sorry, in January, we paid employees. Okay. And we deducted federal, provincial, CPP, and EI for the employee and CPP and EI for the employer. Those amounts are all sitting as credit balances in account 212, 213, 214, 215. So on the January trial balance, what were the 4 credit balances? Those are the amounts that were deducted in January that are now due to CRA by the 15th of February. So we're doing it a day early. And what it is that because these balances here are sitting as credits in the accounts, we're going to debit them. So our entry is going to be to debit account 212, 213, 214, 215 for the balances from the January trial balance. And our offset is a credit to Bank 101 for the sum. Oh, sorry, you know what I mean. So here's our debit and credit columns. And so you'll see an amount here for the bank. I just ran out of space there. Okay, and so that's what the journal entry looks like. The credit is the sum of those 4 numbers, and that means that we are issuing a payment out of our bank account to Revenue Canada for the deductions that were withheld on their behalf from our employees from the January payroll. And when we do this next month, right? So when we come to March 14th, we're going to be remitting for our February payroll. In February, we had 2 pay periods. So the balances here, the debits to account 212, 213, 214, 215 should actually be double what they were when we did it on February 14th. Because February 14th was for January, there's only 1 pay period. March 14th is for February, there's 2 pay periods. So you got to watch the biweekly, because actually 2 times a year, there's actually going to be 3 pay periods. And you'll see that as you come across it later on in the assignments. Okay, so I'll just go back for a second here. That describes the remittance, and that was the other new concept on assignment 3. Okay, February 14th looks new too, but it's not too complicated. So similar to when we got the startup grant, we're now receiving our operating grant. So this is going to be a standard receivable every year. So we're getting the money. It's not receivable. We actually received it. We're going to debit the bank account 101, and we're going to credit the operating grant account. 40 something, 43, either 403 or 406. I can't remember. But you'll see, watch for the wording operating grant and use that account and credit it for $16,000 that we're getting. Okay. Then we just go on here, February 21st, 25th, 26th. They're all kind of repeat entries we've seen before. Billing, supplies, receiving payments from parents, and payroll. So you can see, like, and payroll, remember, same journal entry week after week. Now, if I throw a loop in, which I don't, but if I did, and I said, this week Paige was only able to work 60 hours, then her gross pay would change. Then you'd have to go into the payroll register, revise her line, then revise all the totals, change the totals that now go into the journal. So, I mean, that can happen. It's not probably typical that every 2 weeks everybody's getting paid the exact same thing, but I didn't want you to have to struggle to do a payroll register and look up in the tables every single pay period. I introduced that concept in assignment 2. I made you do it. You know how to do it now, and I don't need you to have to prove it to me every 2 weeks that you know how to do it. I want to introduce other concepts. So it's a repeat. So on the 20th, you just do the same thing you did on the 6th. And then 2 weeks from now, you just do the same thing again. Okay, and then okay, these 2 are repetitive. March 28th, I already talked about what that looks like. We have identified this amount as being uncollectible or potentially uncollectible. And it was right, it was 416 was the amount. So you can do the entry that we talked about already. And then we got payroll, and pretty much everything is repetitive until, again, this writing off of the bad debt. Okay, so, and I already talked about that. So really that sums up everything that's required in assignment 3. What I will mention is that I would like you to do everything for February. I want you to do the journal entries for February. Then I want you to post to the ledger for February. Then I want you to prepare the February trial balance. Before you move on to March, I want you to know that your February trial balance has equal debits and credits, and you actually balanced your trial balance. If you do all 3 months at once and then you go back and February won't balance, it's going to be tougher to figure out where the error occurred. So I would encourage you to do the journal, the trial balance, sorry, the general journal, the general ledger, and the trial balance for February. And when you know you're balanced and good, then do the exact same thing for March. Where you left off in February, you just start with March. Okay, do the same thing. March entries, March posting, March trial balance, and then April. So you hear, and the reason why it's nice that you have 10 days is that this isn't necessarily super difficult, but there's a lot of volume here. You're doing 3 months worth of journal entries on one assignment. So that's why it's worth more as a percentage of your final grade. Assignment 3 is worth 15% of your final grade. But a lot of it's repetitive. Like I said, you're going to get feedback on assignment 2, hopefully, before you're working too deep into assignment 3. Because if you made a mistake on assignment 2, on these journal entries that you're repeating all the time, you would want to know that so that you were able to implement those corrections into assignment 3. So I'll do my best to mark everything I get before I leave, and I'll do my best to give feedback while I'm gone. But again, I won't on my computer. It's going to be a little tough, but I'll do my very best to make sure that you guys are taken care of. Okay, and so then like I said, February, March, April, and then you've got your journal, you've got your ledger. I only have one payroll record because it's repetitive. Just list it for me once, and maybe you can even copy and paste from assignment 2 to save yourself some trouble. And again, here too, it's cumulative, right? So whatever your balance was at the end of February, you should be coming in here and putting balance forward right from your trial balance from assignment 2, okay? That's your first step in the ledger, is all the opening balances. Then your next step is to post all the new February transactions, and then you get a new February ending balance that then goes to the trial balance, and you check your February work. Once you're done there, you're going to come back here and you're going to list your March entries and a new March, and then your April. After you've made sure March balances, you'll do your April entries, and you'll have a grand total at the end of April, and you'll have created 3 months worth of work. So this is just posting straight from the assignment 2 trial balance, and then this rest of this is straight from the general journal in assignment 3. All the new activity, it's added to the old activity to be cumulative. So at the end here, this number, the bottom, it reflects all of the activity from assignment 1, assignment 2, and assignment 3. Okay, and then just repeat every single account, and then come in here and do your trial balances. February, March, and April. Okay, and then you're done. Alrighty, so that's assignment 3. I think I've covered everything I needed there. So we got remittances, and we've got accounts receivable concepts. Alrighty, and that's it. Okay, so there'll be posts in the forum that kind of give you a little bit of a brief summary of what I've just talked about, but I would encourage you to always watch these videos. I know they're not interactive, but everything you should need is, I think I've covered. And if you need to watch it, again, when you have that assignment in front of you, after you've listened to it, after you've read your chapters, after you've done the lesson and read the comments in the forum and gotten feedback in assignment 2, and you're in the middle of preparing assignment 3, feel free to rewatch it, because some of the concepts that I'm talking about, you might go, okay, sure. But then when you come right to doing the assignment, come back in here. I've said exactly what accounts you should be debiting and credit. I've said the amounts for the new concept entries. And so I'm hoping that gives you everything you need to really tackle this assignment while I'm away. I will be back in front of you for the last video lecture on Monday, July the 8th. Okay, so assignment 2 is due tonight, June 24th. Assignment 3 is due Monday, July 8th, we will have our fourth lecture video class. And then the following week, we will be together in front of each other for the week of the 15th to the 19th of July. But 1 week is not enough to cover every concept in the class. So that's why I'm introducing this stuff. But when we do meet together, we're going to get caught up. I'm going to answer any outstanding questions you have. And then by the time we finish that week together, I would like everyone to be really close to wrapping it up. Ideally, everybody will be done by the Friday that I leave. And if you're not done, you'll have that last week after that to finish up everything you need. But I will make sure that as long as you're in class with me for those 5 days, you should be done by the time I leave, and that we'll leave on that Friday. Okay, so post on the forum tonight, ask me any questions you have. I'll be online till 9 o'clock. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye.